Hi, I'm Andrew from Panasonic. I'm here with Kathryn, and we're talking about ways to reduce our carbon footprint by eating less meat.
Yes, eating less meat is one of the top 3 things that you can do to reduce your overall carbon footprint at home.
So my first question is, what tips do you have for people who are at home just kind of starting out or thinking that they want to start reducing the amount of meat they eat?
I think something that's really important is not to overcomplicate it, because there are so many foods that we eat that are plant-based. For instance, I don't know about you, but I love a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's a great midnight snack.
Yeah. I ate one for lunch every single day at school from the time I was in kindergarten till the time I graduated high school. And my whole lunch meal throughout that entire period of my life was vegan, and I had no idea.
Sure.
But that adds up to a really major impact over time. So just keep it simple. But of course, there are also a lot of really fun things if you want to experiment a little bit more with some new and interesting foods. For instance, what would be maybe one of your favorite meals that you make on a regular basis?
So I used to not like tofu.
Oh, okay.
And then I just learned that I was cooking tofu wrong. And there are a bunch of ways you can prepare tofu. I know we're both big fans of a tofu scramble.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite meals. I also really like baked tofu in maybe a dry pot or something like that, which is a much more adventurous meal. You can kind of do everything with tofu, and that's really something that I love about it. What about you?
So I grew up allergic to dairy, crazy allergic to dairy. And this was before we had a lot of alternatives. And I have to say, using tofu as a substitute for ricotta in something like your shells, or even on a pizza, or if you want to use it in a lasagna, it is so fluffy. It has such a good structure. It's great protein, and it's so delicious. And for my birthday, my mom would often make me, she has this lasagna pan, which is really funny. It's 3 slots that lay a lasagna noodle perfectly, so she could make 3 different types of lasagna. So that way she always had my little dairy-free lasagna ready to go with the tofu ricotta mix that was delicious.
So as a lifelong resident of New Jersey, tofu cream cheese on a bagel changed my life. Changed my life as a vegan. I think sometimes people think that eating less meat is kind of an all or nothing proposition. What do you think about, maybe just eating less meat just a little bit, or maybe changing a meal here or there?
Totally. Well, I have a question for you, which is, when you start, I don't know if this is a nice turn of phrase or not, but when you started eating more plant-based, did you go fully all or nothing? Did you cut it, or did you transition?
So my personal journey on this, and I call it a journey because it took me many years.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, I found that eating red meat made me feel tired.
Yeah.
And then when I was a little bit older, one of my friends was only eating pescatarian, which means that you don't eat chicken or beef, but you still eat fish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took a college course and decided, based on the information in that course, that I wanted to eat just completely vegetarian. And then I was cooking a vegetarian meal, and the only vegan ingredient was butter.
Yep.
And so I just thought, wow, with a really simple change, I can make this an entirely plant-based meal.
Yep.
And then from there, I said I'll try it for a month. And then that's how it started. So it was a full, kind of a journey that led me here. And to me, it's one of the best things I ever did. It really challenged my idea about food and flavors, and it really opened me up. I used to be a picky eater.
Yeah.
And now I'm willing to try anything so long as it's plant-based.
Yeah, and I think it's really fun to experiment. So similarly, my journey quite long. So being allergic to dairy, I was already experiencing and having a lot of fun with finding alternatives for that.
Sure.
And then I met someone who's a vegetarian, and then I had so much fun trying to be how can I do a dairy-free and vegetarian meal? And this is in Arkansas, so not necessarily a place that has a lot of alternatives readily available at the time. And so I remember I made this one dish that was awful. It was supposed to be a buffalo chicken casserole, but I used all tofu for the chicken, tofu for the cheese. It was literally tofu noodle casserole. It was so bad, but it was so much fun just having fun and trying things. And so I think it's really important. And then when I really started, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this on the weekdays, because it was so hard in Arkansas at the time, because there just weren't a lot of alternatives, especially out to eat. I couldn't eat anything. So I was like, okay, well, I'm at home most of the time Monday through Friday. So I'm gonna do Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends, I'll eat, more vegetarian, and so it just became this process, and it's like, you don't have to go all or nothing. We are living proof that slow and steady wins the race.
Yep.
So take it at your own pace, and I think the most important thing to remember is, if you can't do it all, because often when you ask people I could never give up cheese, or I could never give up bacon, or whatever that thing is, fine. Don't give those 2 things up, but give up everything else. If those are the 2 things that are holding you back, because at the end of the day, that's still such a net positive. So give it a go. My challenge, can I ask you a challenge?
Sure.
My challenge to you today, if you're watching this video, would be just to try 1 meal a day. And one of my favorites to start with is breakfast, because that's a pretty easy one to swap in and out. So give it a try and see how you feel. I think you'll probably really enjoy it. Thanks, Andrew.
Beautiful. This was so much fun.
This was so much fun.
Let's go get lunch.
Let's do it. There's like some great minestrone soup that I had earlier today.
Really?
Yeah.